Hi there. Welcome to On the Flip Side, a podcast for anyone who wants to live their best sales life. We're going to be talking to buyers, sales managers, SDRs, and A's about things like what does it take to be a great sales manager? Or how can you go home happy month after month? So let's dive right in. Hi there. You're listening to On the Flip Side with Wingman. I'm Kushal, and today's show is dedicated to all things women power. And that's why I'm so excited to learn more from our guest for today's show, Joyce Johnson. Joyce is a 7-time author, speaker, coach, and founder of the Wise Sales Network, which includes training, podcasts, webinars, and other sales programs to empower the next generation of sales leaders, especially in the B2B space. Joyce, so great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Joyce, to kick things off, you've also just launched a new book, Color Outside the Lines, Stories of Extraordinary Leadership. Tell us more about the book. Who's it for and why should they read it?
The book is for anyone who's interested in being a better leader, right? And I don't say that by a person who has a title, but just a person in a role, a person in life, right? So this project particularly, I'm a co-publisher on with my publisher, Darren Palmer, with Self-Published in 30 Days. There's not many conversations that I have that people don't ask me about being an author and then they follow it up by saying, I wish I could be an author. I wish I could write a book. I wish I had the funds to write a book, or, their book wish list. And so I decided to put this book together so that to give those individuals opportunities to not write a whole book, but a chapter in a book and become an author that way and be able to experience and share their information, their knowledge, and what they've gone through in life with others. And so I was very intentional in this book with reaching out to people. I wanted it to have those that have the title of leadership. We have Steve Benson, who's the CEO of Badger Mapping. And then I wanted people who are what we call influence without authority, because I want everyone to understand that no matter where you are, wherever you sit in an organization, wherever you sit in life, you can be a leader and lead others and influence others, because leadership is really about influence. And it's about using that influence the right way. So
First, I
wanting
love
to
that you talked
educate people
about.
on that.
I love that you talked about really, the fact that everyone can show leadership irrespective of where they really are in life. Maybe to go back a little bit, to when you started out in sales, what was it like, and what do you wish were some of the things that maybe someone had told you?
When I started out in sales, it was interesting. My first sales job out of college, I say out of college, but I really at the time was selling shoes already at a shoe department at a major store. But I wanted that after college job, right? We feel like we graduate from college, we need to get that after college job. And so I didn't have great resources and support in the field. And it was a field job, knocking on doors, right? There was no one there really helping me along. It was commissions only. And I grew very, very fast when I really should have been killing it because it was a new product to the market that everyone has now. It was like selling alarm systems. I'm gonna date myself. And so, but I didn't have a great support team and I didn't have any direction. I knew I could sell, but I didn't understand the sales process. And so that's a gap that I realized that individuals need, especially those college students. I mentor a lot of college students. I've been mentoring students for 15 years now. And I have one of my formal interns who actually stayed in my home for a week a couple of weeks ago. And every time he was selling or talking to his customer, he said, Yes, Joyce, because you always told me this. And you said to smile while you're on the phone because they can hear a smile and just different things. And so, one, I think individuals need that encouragement, but they really need to understand the sales process so that they can be stronger sellers. And so that's what we do at Y Sales Network. We teach, we give tips, we have webinars and everything to really help people understand the sales process and how to go about engaging and closing a really good deal.
Joyce, we all know, like you said, you've been selling for a while. What challenges do you think you faced as a woman in sales?
Wow, many. I don't know if we have enough time for that on the show, but many challenges as a woman in sales. I released a book early this year called titled "No Back Doors for Me," and that book was all about the isms that I dealt with in corporate America as a woman and as a woman of color. It talks about the unjust commissions, and it talks about not being received and not getting that seat at the table, and if you're at the table not getting a voice, right? It talked about sexual harassment. It covered a lot of different things. And so as a woman in sales, a lot of times I walked into those rooms, the first and the only, the first and the only. And so you find a way to still be yourself, but find a way to connect with everyone in a room. And no one in that room is trying to figure out a way to connect with you. They're trying to figure out a way to get you out of that room, right? So it was my job to find a way to connect with everyone in the room so that I could build those relationships that I needed to be successful. I in my book I talk about going to meet with this one customer, and he had just been giving me a hard time. And when I went to his office the first time, I got it, right? I went into his office. It was the wood paneling all on the walls, the great big decks, the macho man desk and everything, and all these things. And so as I walk, and he's not even helping me get to his office. And by the way, never told me that it was in this big park and that you had to park in the back and walk all the way around the front. So I'm exhausted walking around this park to get to his office. And when I walked in his office and I got to look at things on his desk and his walls and everything, and I said, okay, I get it. Right. And I'm being from the South. I always have a thing about me where I always say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And so that plays to my benefit, especially with this gentleman, because when I walked into his office, I understood that he was that guy, right? That he was that macho guy, whatever, that, everyone, he's a big man on campus, as we say with our athletes. He was the big man on campus. So was having some hair problems with my hair, and I cut my hair off, right? And well, I didn't cut off. My aunt did because I was having these problems. And I went to her and she's like, it's just hair. And she cuts all my hair off. And so I actually, was trying to, as we say, rock the look and things. I thought I was cute. I was like, I have a cute face. I can pull this off. But he was being, I noticed him being a little extra rude, right? So then I got to a point, I said, okay, well, I'm going to go and I'm just going to, weave my hair and I'm going to, what have you. So I did that. And the next time I went in to see him, he said, oh, well, you finally I can see you finally got you some hair. Yeah. I tell the story in the book. And I said, and he was a bald guy. And so totally could have lost my job because I was like, yeah, you want some? They probably have some for you too.
Nice
We
one.
fell out laughing. We both just had a really good belly laugh, and it broke the ice, and we had a different relationship from that point on, right? But just many experiences. I can remember sitting in a meeting with a CFO of a major oil and gas company, and there's two of us women, and he's literally just using all these swearing words, these four-letter words, and just like letting us have it. And I just stood up and I said, he said, well, where are you going? No, he said, where in hell are you going? And I said, oh, I'm leaving this room. I was like, I don't do verbal abuse, sir. You know, not at home, not at work, not ever. And I left the room, and my peer was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna lose our jobs. What are you doing?" Joyce, come back. She's running down the hall behind me. I'm like, "No, it's not gonna happen. I'm out of here." And he apologized to us later because his peers held him accountable. And I think that's important through this journey and everything that we're talking about now in the corporate space for women. It's important for other people to stand up and not just let things happen, and to call people on the table when they do these things and to hold their peers accountable. Because if they don't, it's going to continue to happen.
I love how you talked about really taking your power back, Joyce, in some way with those stories.
Yes.
And that really just kind of ties into, what I was going to ask you next, which is really how can people be better allies for women at the workplace in sales or otherwise? What can they be doing?
I was sharing with someone. I just had a book launch on Saturday. I decided to, it's been COVID. I've met so many people during COVID that I've never met in person, and we've done business together. So I invited a lot of people and some old friends, some new friends to join me for brunch while we did the book launch. And so we had a nice brunch here in Houston. And I was sharing one of the gentlemen who came. I said, I really appreciate you coming because this is what I talk about. It's about not just being there for me or appearing to be there for me Monday through Friday, but actually engaging in my life and in my community and inviting me to engage in your life and in your community because you are really going to, because I think, and I know we all want the same things, right? We all want the same things for our children. We all want the same things for our families. We're all the same. Our skin may look different, right? Our hair may look different, but at the core of who we are, I may speak with my Southern slur sometimes, but at the core of who I am as a woman, I am like any other human being. And I think it's important for people to see that and not just support each other Monday through Friday, but really become a strong ally and build really strong relationships because that's what has been done, right? We haven't been invited to the golf games. We haven't been invited to the picnics on the weekend. We haven't been, invited, many years ago to the strip club when the men went and all these other places where they would go to hide out and, the steam rooms and things. And so, and I also share with women, on our part, plan these things. And I know it's sometimes it seems sexist because they'll look to us, oh, can you plan this or whatever? I always raise my hand to plan it because instead of you going on a golf course or somewhere you're not going to invite me, I'm going to plan it and we're going to be at the golf. We're going to be, I mean, we're going to be at the at either the golf, that top golf, or we're going to be at the bowling alley, right? And somewhere where I can compete because I know how to bowl. And so let's own it. I'll plan it in a minute because for me, I know if I plan it, then I'm going to get the invite.
I love that hack. I think that's probably one of the most underutilized ways. I think a lot of people will get put off by the fact that they're asked to plan something, maybe, and think, why am I the default planner, right? But
Right.
there's so much power in that.
It's so much power in it, and I'm going to plan it well. And and it's unfortunate sometimes because some people may see it differently, right? I've had like a senior VP I write about in my book who, because I was there, because I was cleaning after everyone and helping and things like that, he took that as, oh, I can take advantage, and it's like, no, you can't. But I believe in planning it. Use what we have, right? If that's all they're going to give us, use what we have. And also, when I plan it, I've planned things before and I've invited their wives or called their wives and asked their wives information, right, to help me better in my planning. And when I plan things, it's all about the experience. So they're going to have a great experience. And that's a bonding moment in itself. So we just have to take advantage of every opportunity we have. Is it great that everyone turns their head and look at the one woman in a room when it's time to plan something? No, it's not. But it's not going to stop happening. Well, maybe. But until it does, hey, let's just own it. Let's take advantage of it.
Joyce, I have to ask, what does it feel like, or at least what did it feel like to be the only woman in the room or the bowling alley or, playing golf? What did that feel like?
Right. It can feel uncomfortable, right? Because there's going to be things said that, are highly inappropriate. Right. And at any venue, and some of them may be directed towards you. And, but for me, I don't even know if I can say this on this podcast, but for me, like I say, as a woman, you use what you have. Right. And some of the things that I would use if I know it's going to have a tough day, okay, I'm going to really be cute that day. I may have to show up in some steel toe shoes and a pink hard hat. Right. But underneath that, I'm going to have on my best lingerie. And on the day when I can wear heels, I'm going to have on my heels and I'm going to have on my favorite perfume. I'm going to have on my red lipstick. The red lipstick is a signature of mine. And I adapted this because I heard an interview with Lucille Ball when she said she started wearing red lipstick because she was really the boss in the room. She was the one in charge and it was threatening to the men. So she started wearing a red lipstick to be more feminine. So they would let their guards down. Right. And so after that, I went and tried on about 10 different shades of red lipstick until I found one. I've been wearing the same red lipstick for years.
Wow, I love this. I think I'm going to ditch my pinks and maybe go out myself. They do say red is power, right? The power of red lipstick. Yeah.
Yeah, power of the lipstick. And it's to the point that if I don't have lipstick on, even now on social, people say, "Well, where's your lipstick?" I was about to be interviewed one day, and I was so excited because I put on the eyeshadow, and I never wear eyeshadow, and I was so excited. I'd done my own makeup and everything, and they're like, "Where's your red lipstick?" I'm like, oh, "I almost forgot."
That's your signature now.
Yeah.
Joyce, while we're talking about, really creating these more diverse workplaces, what do you think corporates, really can do better to kind of drive diversity in the workplace, whether it's for women, whether it's people from color, how can we really do it better?
I've always been an advocate of employee resource groups. I was active in employee resource groups at a couple of companies. My last role, I was vice president of African American Business Resource Group. I volunteered with the Women's Resource Group. I volunteered with the veterans. My dad and my grandfather were Marines, and I also volunteered in the community with the Latino Resource Group. And I think that the resource groups are important because just because there are African American or women or whatever, you can still join all of them, right? Like the military resource group, they so embraced me, right? You know why? Because I helped them plan a great event. You got to take your strengths. But I also use that platform to be able to really talk about inclusion and to help people identify how we are different, right? I in one of the things that we did, I went out and interviewed the white female, the black male, the Latino male, the LGBTQ community, the veteran. I interviewed all these different groups, and then I wrote skits about them. I wrote like poetry, and I had in the Vietnamese community, and I had someone go and recite these poems. And the reason for that was, and they're all in my book, No Back Doors for Me. They're in the back chapters of that book. But I did that because I wanted everyone to understand that every group felt that like they weren't included. And I wanted everyone to understand why they felt that way. Right. And the platform of being with the employee resource groups allowed me and us and my peers to be able to do just that and to help people really, when you have a Latino resource group or an Asian or what have you, whatever it is, women's, it gives us the understanding, okay, well, here's the holiday that we celebrate, and this is why we celebrate this. It allows everyone to receive the education of different cultures and to embrace different cultures and different people while still understanding at our core, we are the same.
I think that's an incredibly useful sort of tip for really people to share more about their cultures while sort of, staying true to who they are really, but making it easy for everyone to understand and making it a safe space really for everyone to ask
Right.
questions and understand more about other cultures as well.
Absolutely. And when all the different cultures or groups or whoever have their events, I would go. It's a learning experience, right? So now you get to learn a little bit more and be more versed, especially, here in the US, because, so there's a bigger culture. There's a US culture, but there's also culture if you grew up in a small farm. I grew up on an island, a small island, 45 miles south of Houston. You could sit that island in Houston multiple times. So Houston's like the big city for me. My siblings and I, although we live in large cities, we all live in very small areas of those cities. And we all live in areas where we can walk wherever we want to go because when we grew up on an island, we could walk anywhere we wanted to go, right? So that's a culture in itself. And then when you look at the US culture and you have our peers from different countries and different groups and things, we don't understand different cultures and different holidays and why people are out and things like that. And we need to be respectful of that. And the only way to be respectful of it is to actually know that it's happening, be educated on why it's happening, and then engage. I always say inform, educate, and engage. So inform us that it's happening, educate us why, then engage us in the party so that we could all have a good time and a good understanding of why we're celebrating.
And if they're lucky, you'll be planning the party.
And if they're lucky, I'll be planning a party because I love to plan a good party.
Just to dial back a little bit to what you spoke about earlier around mentorship, really, and the importance of it. So a lot of us are looking for mentorship for really different parts of our jobs, of our lives. What's maybe your advice for people who are seeking mentorship? How can they make it a beneficial sort of relationship for both the parties involved?
First of all, just always be prepared, right? Be prepared on what you're going to talk about with that person, right? Be prepared, be intentional, and be prepared. So be prepared on what you're going to speak with that person about, but also know your audience, right? I've had many conversations lately about knowing your audience. Understand who that person is and what they need, right? Understand their background, and then always ask, how can I help you? How is there any way I can support you? If like for instance, me, if you know that I'll share with you that people that I've mentored in corporate, if whatever organization I was in, internally and externally, they engaged in those organizations. The good, and that helped me, right? So I'm okay. I'll give you everything with me. And now you're spending more time with me because not only are you in the BRG and corporate that I'm in, but you've joined this sales organization that I'm participating in outside of corporate, right? If I did, I remember doing a breast cancer awareness event. My mother's a breast cancer survivor, and every person nearly that I had mentored or what have you engaged in that program.
I think that's really what the power of mentorship and community, I think, is
Yeah,
really
a
about.
mentor. Yes, absolutely. Just don't look at it for as what that person can give to you. You're going to get more out of that person if you engage in what that person is doing and what's important to them and their needs and how they respond to community.
Love that, Joyce. I think that's super useful, really, for anyone who's looking for mentorship. Joyce, this has been an incredible conversation. It's taken me closer towards maybe one of my last questions, which is really
Yes.
around what's the number one impact that you want to drive on the world?
You know, I'm a sales advocate, I say, a sales champion. And that's because I really believe that and everything that I have. I believe that sales is one of the best professions out there because it creates opportunity for everyone, no matter what your background is, your education, your training. There's vertical markets, there's just, it creates an opportunity for everyone to be able to earn a great living. It provides access for people. When you're getting ready to go into company, even if you are a pre-med and you want to get into this big pharmaceutical company or something, if you go into sales, it gives you an opportunity to know about how the company is run. You learn about marketing, you learn about operations, supply chain, and so I want to be able to continue to educate the masses on sales. I want people to get to work. More jobs out there that are listed for sales roles than any other job out there. They may be undisguised. They may say business development, right? They may say business development, community liaison, customer service, what have you. But they're sales jobs. And I want people to just get really good training so that they can be prepared and they can be confident in what they do. And I also want people to feel included. I don't want them to feel the way that I didn't really feel that way all the time, but it was what it was. And I don't want them to experience the things that I experienced in 30 years of my career. In my last book, I say, I have a chapter, it says my wish for little black girls, because I'm talking to my nieces. And I say to my nieces in that book, if for some reason you check all the boxes and you're still not accepted, then I want you to walk away and build your own table so that you can show them what inclusion really looks like. And I want that for the world. I pray often for women in different countries who are, especially war-stricken countries, where all they want is to get a good meal for their kids. They're afraid to leave home to go feed their kids because they may not make it back, but they're afraid not to feed their kids. And that's whether you're in corporate or wherever. We, as a human race, global human race, have to be more aware and just care more about each other.
I think that's a great wish and a great vision for the world, Joyce. And you're obviously already working towards that, which is
Yes.
incredible. Thank you so much, Joyce. It's been incredible having you on the flip side with me.
Thank you. I so appreciate being here. And, anytime, and for you women out there, it's Women Sales Month. Go find you a sales job. Go be empowered. Go empower others. We are needed in sales. There's room for you in sales. Don't think you have to check all the boxes because you already do.
Great stuff,
I'm done
Joyce. Thanks
speaking,
so
like they
much.
say in Clubhouse.
Incredible. Thanks so much, Joyce.
Thank you.